University of Man.
Yo,
What's up, man?
what's going on? Welcome to the show, University of Man, where it's two brothers talking about manhood from a Christian's perspective. I'm your host, Fred Abernathy, coming out of the Shy, and my boy on the left is my man, Ivory L. Lewis, out there in L.A. with the sunshine, baby. We good?
We are great, man. I thought you knew the sun is shining. We got palm trees. I got my wife. It's a beautiful day.
Ooh, ain't nothing like having a love of your life, baby. Hey, check it out. Today is my 3-year reconnection anniversary, dog.
Okay. I'll take
Hey,
that.
hey, it is what it is.
Hey,
Three.
look. I got to show you something. You see this right here? This is a nice little thing I got for Father's Day. It's got my kids and my wife's name on it. So
Hey,
I'm carrying the ones that I need the most on this nice little necklace. But 3 years, though. Congratulations.
3 years we've been back, connected, dating, engaged now. Yeah, man, things is rolling, baby. Hey, that's why he got this big smile, baby. No, it's all good. Hey, man.
Number 3, though. I'm just going to leave it there.
Oh, yeah, you know, because you're a Trey. I get it. It's all good. Hey, what's happening? What's been happening in the preseason, man? I'm saying, like, Caleb is looking pretty darn good over there. I don't know what you're thinking, but
I mean, he's a Southern California product, so what do you expect? And he goes to the Shy. I only expect the best. Come on.
oh, now we got to bring California in because that's why he's doing good. Okay.
He's a Heisman Trophy winner. Come on, man.
Hey, but check this. Have you been watching the DNC?
I have seen snippets of it. I saw when Michelle brought up her husband. I saw Obama. He killed it.
You didn't see Michelle's speech?
I did, actually. I saw her speech.
Oh, man.
Somebody put something on social media where it's like, we go high, they go low. Now it's like, child. Like, she switched it up a little bit.
She brought the pain. She brought the pain, especially when she said somebody need to tell Donald Trump he might be trying to apply for what's considered a black job. Okay.
So, speaking of black, I don't know. Lil John was there. He had to go.
Yeah.
Represent the Georgia delegates.
Yeah. Man, Spike Lee was there. They did the roll call. DJ Cassidy. Hey, it was pretty hot, man. They had it crunk and a lot of energy in the building. But you know what? Watching that got me to thinking about us as black men, the talk. And I actually just had the talk actually last night. Well, no, 2 nights ago, but then we watched the movie When They See Us. We watched the documentary. So I had the talk, and he was like, so just for brothers that's just understanding what we're talking about, all black men in America have to have the talk, in my opinion. And if you haven't had the talk, and if you haven't had the talk with your sons, you might want to reconsider that. And not to talk about the birds and the bees, which is really what men should have to talk about. To explain that, we as black men have had to have 2 different talks. So I'm talking about the talk about when, not if, but when you get pulled over by the police. And Ivory, you got Patrick is what, 9?
He's 10.
He's 10. Time flying. 10.
Yeah.
And then you got a 25-year-old junior.
Oh man, just turned 25.
Just turned 25. Yeah, I did the math on that because I'm like, man, Makari's 23. That means she about to be 24. That means little Ivory's 25. Yeah. So I'm pretty sure that if little Ivory has not been or has been pulled over, there's been some type of concern about it. And we're watching the DNC and watching the GOP and thinking about all that. There were some points that Donald Trump made that people could agree with. And there's some definite points that Kamala Harris is agreeing with. But when I went back and looked at When They See Us and I seen the role that he played in those 5 young men being arrested falsely, taking out a whole ad to have them pretty much hung at the cross, bringing back the death penalty in New York. I'm wondering how African American males, especially, have forgotten that. And maybe we shouldn't hold that against them for presidency, but I do. So I'm just saying, when I'm talking about the talk, how do you, or have you, or
Hey,
what?
can we stick on that point for a second, because this is very important.
Okay.
Donald Trump. This is like the third rail for a lot of people, and I can't judge the man's heart, right? I don't know if he's racist or not. I mean, back in the day, he was hanging out with Mike Tyson, and he was in everybody's rap. Somebody was talking about Trump this, Trump that. But I don't know if he's a racist, but he's an opportunist.
Definite opportunist.
And the people that are racist are voting for him. So in order to by any means win, I think that he will pander that group just a little bit, just to be able to get across the finish line. Now, with that being said, he's done some stuff for the black folks. He's also, had some questionable conversations and some things, and it throws me in a tizzy. So I don't know. So go back to your point. I apologize. Just want to throw that out there because I try to look at it from both views.
And I get that. Whether we can say 100% for sure that he's racist or not, when I looked at that, man, that movie, that documentary was one of the things that compelled my daughter to go into criminal justice to be a defense attorney.
Well, get a little bit more in detail with the 5 boys.
So, the Central Park 5, they were out in the park, actually, and they didn't even know each other. Just a group of kids going out in the park, what they call wilding. They was running around, jumping, having fun, laughing. They teased a couple of bike cyclists, even though they said they beat them up. They didn't really beat them up. They teased them, moved out the way, but not very similar to in Chicago when a bunch of kids went downtown. But they did broke some windows, things of that nature, which is one of the things that I was talking about. Like, look, you got to watch the crowd you keep. But these young men ended up in the park doing what they call wilding, and a lady ended up being raped around, actually 40 minutes later, on the other side of the park. But the prosecutor, the district attorney, they all wanted to have somebody arrested and prosecuted, because in New York at that time, I think it was back in '89, they had 3,000 rapes, sexual offenses the year before. So now people trying to make the name for themselves. They trying to convict somebody. They trying to make something happen. And these kids had gotten in trouble for being in the park wilding out around the same time, but at least the same night that the lady had gotten raped and abused in the park. No DNA, no physical evidence. They even had footprints of one person dragging her, but they arrested 5 young men for the rape. And during the documentary, you could see they interrogated these young men without their parents, without representation. So when I was talking to my bonus son, Trey, and I'm like, listen, I was saying you gotta understand that they're gonna read you your Miranda rights. He's like, what's that? So Miranda rights is the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. And he said, but what if I tell the truth? I said, listen to what I'm saying. You have the right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you. Not for you. It's going to be used against you. And he's like, but I said, so what do you do if and when me and you are going to baseball practice, because the kid played baseball and he'd be like, bye-bye, ball. But what do you do? What are you going to do if and when the police pull us over? He's like, be respectful. Okay, that's a good start. but what do you do physically? He's like, I don't know. I just sit there. Okay, here's where we start to talk.
Yeah.
Let's make sure your hands are visible because my hands are going to be on the steering wheel. Your hands go on the dashboard. And he's looking at me, and I'm like, I get it. I get it, Trey. It's not fair. It's not fair that we got to have this talk. It's not fair that we've got to prepare for when this happens. And he's like, but I'm just a kid. And I said, well, you 5'6" right now, and you 12. You got a nice big frame. When the police pull up behind us, you don't look like a
Say
kid.
that again. 5, 6, and 12.
He's 12. Yeah. Yeah.
That boy wear. Wait a minute. Hold on, Trey.
So for all intents and purposes, he looks like a grown-up
Yeah.
from behind. So I'm like, they're not walking up to the car thinking that it's two, like it's a grown-up and a kid. They're looking at you like there's two men in the car. So starting off having that conversation, and you could see the look on his face, but like, why would they be like that? So that's why I had to show him the documentary, because coming from a suburb of Atlanta, Grayson, Georgia, it was different. Like, he was used to being able to ride with mom. He's in the back seat, everything. He can be a kid. Now he's getting to the stage where you're getting ready to be in that adolescence, teen years, and you're possibly going to start driving soon. I want you to be prepared for not if, but when this happens. So tell me, man, like, how do you feel about having to have that conversation with your 10-year-old son, who, one, like, your kid has one of the brightest eyes. He's like always smiling. He's all like, he's got that kid like energy and that innocence of, man, dad and mom, they taking care of me. You know, we do the right thing. You can still see the innocence in your son's face. How do you propose to bring this, what I consider darkness, to his life so that he could be aware of his surroundings?
I've yet to come to grips with it. I think in 2020, when a couple of things happened to African Americans, boys specifically, kids, men, um, I had to ask the question, like, would I be marching with Martin Luther King back in the day? I probably wouldn't, because I'm a man and I have to be home for my wife and my kids. But I'd be behind closed doors, pulling strings to make sure the people were marching and were doing that. And I say all that to say this: I saw the movie Emmett Till, and it was awkward because I was in the suburb of Los Angeles when I saw it. I was the only black man in there, and I heard tears, weeping, crying, like real tears in the theater, and I just couldn't help but like realize that it's just not a us problem. It's a we problem as America. Like, for all sorts of people trying to get this out and cleanse themselves of this, because they could have seen it, they could not have seen it, they may have turned a blind eye to it. Like, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys, Jerry Jones, he was in the picture where the epic picture where the little girl was just trying to go to school and she had to have a group of soldiers pretty much with guns to walk her to school because she was black. So turning them on to that sometimes jades them in the situation that they're in, but it also comes to a point where history is history. It's our history. It's American history. And whether you like it or not, sometimes being African American and man and a little bit bigger than normal, that is a fear. Whereas we have to completely almost docile or go the opposite way so that people feel comfortable around us. And what normal individuals or men do, we can't necessarily do, or else we'll be considered angry or whatever the case is. And I'll tell you, man, it's just a fine line. And to be able to teach your children that is something that's art. And I think it's ever changing, because I think this generation is getting better than our generation, which was better than, I believe, the generations in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. So I don't have the answers to this, man. I'll be honest with you. I just know that I want to make sure my child gets home, and that when I do have the conversation, when they are driving, that if they do get stopped, they're going to turn on the light. They're going to put their hands on the steering wheel and let down all the windows. I don't care what's going on in that car, who's in the car, whatever the case is, you got to do it. Because when you have a police officer coming from the back of your car to your car, what's their number one priority? Get home themselves.
They trying to get home too.
If you turn on the light, they understand that you know what they're going through. If you let the windows down, they understand that you are allowing them into your space. And if you are completely visible with everything that's inside the car, they have no problems. So now they're at ease. And I mean, I don't know. Maybe that's the way that you do it. Maybe it's not. Maybe you get somebody that's had a problem, somebody that said something to them and they had a bad day. How do you de-escalate as a person that's in the car? You gotta teach your kids how to do this
So
because it's life or death because they got a gun and you don't.
absolutely. So that I think that is a valuable point where we talk about de-escalating. So even in our line of work, we have to de-escalate because now we
You remember? We got okay, but we're not gonna go there. But I'm just saying, talk about work. Go ahead.
but even at work, we're dealing with people's money, their future, and
Sure.
stuff happens in the market, things like that, and people get upset and they want to go off, or the market drops and now they want to sell all their stock and everything and get out, and you have to calm them down, like whoa, let's take a deep breath, let's understand what's happening, and but as men, when you think about, I think about what our jobs are as just as men. Forget what we do for a living, but just as men, to protect, provide. That was the first thing that God gave Adam, was to provide, till the ground. You got to work. And you protect what's yours, what I've given you. I've given you a wife, I've given you a family, you protect that. Some would argue that becoming docile as a man, how can you protect? So one of my examples would be, you remember the movie Crash
Yeah.
when
Ooh, yeah. Do I?
Terrence Howard and
Howard.
and his wife was being searched,
Yep.
and she got upset to the point, like, what should he have done? Did he do the right thing? Then I look at the movie The Temptations, when the dudes was on the outside, and about six of them called her out her name, and the husband was like, just get in the truck, just get in the truck, and he didn't say nothing. She was mad, like, why didn't you speak up for me? Why didn't you protect me? And then my last example, Queen and Slim. You ever see that movie?
I did.
That whole movie would have been over in the first 10 minutes had old girl not jacked off. She jumped off at the police, end up having to kill the police. They on a run forever, and then they end up losing their lives at the end of the movie. Sorry if I ruined that movie for y'all, but here's what it is. I'm just saying, how do you, even as a black man, before you even do the talk, how do you do the talk with yourself to say, hey, whoever I'm going to have in the car with me, you got to be able to understand, if I get pulled over, how to act. And if I'm telling you to be quiet, it's not I'm telling you to be quiet because I don't want to protect you, but this is how I protect you. Because you flipping off at the lip, man, you ever dated a girl who would would get you in trouble?
Write a check that you couldn't sign.
Man, like, come on, man. So how to, as a man, because we talk about manhood, this is university as a man. How, as a man, do I determine when do I turn my aggression down, and when do I make the decision that, you know what, enough's enough?
I got a great example of this, and it's not necessarily about women, but it was about, we went on a men's retreat. We got a Christian group. It's a men's retreat. We go to Broken Bow, Oklahoma.
That should have been a no.
It wasn't my idea, but let's just talk about it for a second.
Okay.
Broken Bow, Oklahoma is in the backwoods, my man. And
Yeah, it sounds like
I
it.
told all my friends, listen, I will not go outside after dark. If you guys choose to go, I'm not gonna go with you. I'm gonna be at the house, just so you know. And then, like, why? What do you mean? They're laughing and stuff. I'm like, okay, there's some people down here that still think that it's, back in the day, and I'm not here to figure it out. So you've got to be precautious and understand. Now, listen, I'm a God fearing man. I know that God's given me discernment, intuition, and all the things to do that. And sometimes we are speaking things that are not of God, but He also gave you the intelligence to do things that are smart, like lock your door, right? Hello, it's there for a reason. Lock your door. But
He came with the door.
but I mean, like you have to be cognizant of be in the world, not of the world. You have to be
Mhm.
cognizant of what's going on. And I listen, I the Sonya Massey case. You want to jump into that real quick?
Listen, this I'm so like fired up about that because when we talk about a woman who called the police. So the for those of you who don't know about Sonia Massey called the police. When she called, she said, "Please send somebody who is not racist and is not aggressive. I feel like somebody's at my house." If you go on YouTube, you can see the video. It's very disturbing. She was sitting down. The officer told her to go turn off some hot water that was boiling on the stove. She goes over 20 feet away from him with a couch in between both of them and turns the pot off. He says something to her. She says, "I rebuke you in the blood of Jesus." He tells her, "I'm going to shoot you in the face." Oh, before she says, "I rebuke you," he said, "Put the pot of water down or I'm going to shoot you in the face," something of that nature. She said, "I rebuke you in the blood of Jesus." He shot her in the face. Then his partner said, "Oh man, I'm going to go out to get this stuff so I can help revive her or something." He said, "Nope, don't worry about it. That was a kill shot." That woman was executed in her house. She called the police. My question was, if she had a man, a black man, a grown man, a man that she loved, that loved her and trusted her, would she have called him too? Would we, or when do we stand up for her even though the event has happened? When Trayvon Martin happened, we rallied around it. We marched. Black Lives Matter. Uh, uh, Mike Brown, George Floyd. We were all up in arms. But when a black woman got slaughtered in her home, we don't even hear about it. And that's what I'm like. As men, when do we stand up to protect our women? And that's where it came across the question, because we got to protect ourselves, right? Like, how do we do that? So, where are you going with the Sonia Massey?
Uh, it hurts. It hurts to see something like this on a camera and to hear the words that came out of that officer's mouth that actually shot her. It hurts. And it goes back to like we probably wouldn't have seen some of these things, but now we have technology and you could just say it's hearsay, he say, she say, and you just got to sweep it under the rug. But it's now getting put out there. And um, his girlfriend, I guess at the time, was one of the people that came to that same residence and gave her racist comments in the past. That's why she was asking for another squadron or whatever. And to be able to call somebody to support you, to protect and serve, and then have them in your home and they shoot you over a pot of water that they told you to turn off. And I mean, it's just happening in broad daylight. Like I don't understand how this can be, but it is. And I just pray for her family. I pray for the people around her. And uh, these are trying times. These are definitely trying times, and God's got to show His hand with this. And there's going to be some stuff that's going to be uh, some. I wouldn't call it get back, but uh, we've got to learn from this. We've got to learn how to, like you just said, protect the people that we love. And like back in the '60s, if the people that were supposed to protect and serve us didn't come, we had the Black Panthers, the Hell's Angels, whatever. Like we had all sorts of individuals that would come in lieu of what we thought was supposed to be. And look at the systemic racism in police forces. It dates back to police officers were just to go catch black people. That's what a police academy stemmed from. So, you still got remnants of that. And, I've got a lot of great friends that are police officers, so I'm not condemning everyone.
Absolutely.
Just a couple of the people that are not so great, especially that guy that shot that woman. So if you are, let me leave it there. So yeah, that's the only reason why I brought it up, because I just think that it goes in alignment with all the things we're talking about and having the conversation, and just like, and I know this is a bad example, but I'm going to bring him up anyways. Bill Cosby back in the day, he would say, behind closed doors, we got to pull up our bootstraps. We got to be able to do things on our own. But in public, he would say that, yes, we still need opportunities because we've had 400 plus years of oppression, but you can't lean on that. You've got to actually be better than that behind closed doors. And that's one of the few, amongst other things. I love the Cosby Show back in the day. I thought he showed a very classic,
Absolutely.
great family. And then, the different world where everybody wanted to go to HBCU. Spelman's not even a college, and everybody wearing Spelman stuff. And like now, I think they have a spinoff of that where Whitney and whatever his name is with the flip up glasses, Dwayne Wade, not
Wayne.
Wade. Yeah, they have a spinoff of that where their kids are going to
Kadeem Hardison. Yeah,
Kadeem Hardison.
There you go.
So, yeah, that again, it hurts. It's frustrating. You don't know what to do until it comes down your street, and I just pray that it never does. And I'm joyful knowing that it's not. But if it does, we'll just have to go ahead and act accordingly.
So, and when I I operate in that, hey, it's gonna happen. So let me prepare for it. But the scripture that always come to mind is, God has not given me the spirit of fear, but of love, power, and a sound mind. And when I think about the love, I think about, okay, we got power. Our skin complexion sometimes is just power enough. But the one that really I think people need to hone in on is a sound mind. And when I say that, mentally, you know what the game is here in America. You know what it is. So when you know the rules of the game, you got to play accordingly. Is it fair? Nope, I don't think it's fair. I'm never going to be the one to say, hey, oh, it's fair, it's fair, it's fair. No, it's not fair. We're clear on that. 400 years of slavery, another 100 years of oppression, and now we're still enslaved in our own minds because of the systematic and the PTSD and the trauma that we've experienced. Yes, all of that is true. But I'm also with you behind closed doors. Like, listen, sometimes we're using that as a, but also understand, when you know the rules of the game and you can play accordingly, that's how you can win. And a lot of times we don't really even know the rules of the game. When I think about in our school systems now, how often are they even teaching about Black history, about what happened in slavery, about those things? So we got it. So we were able to kind of put some emphasis on what happened. Now, slowly, those things are being removed, about how the Willie Lynch letter separated Black men from the family, how money has replaced Black men in their family. Like
in the 70s.
In the mid 70s. When I looked at the GOP and the DNC, and I'm still like, Bill Clinton, that was a nice speech, but you the reason why a lot of my brothers is locked up, because there's 3 strikes, you're out. Like, no matter what side of the fence you're on, you gotta know the rules of the game, because there are definitely a lot of successful African American men who have made it through this life without being arrested, without being convicted of a crime. Where do we as men help change the narrative behind so many young brothers and sisters who are being locked up for a 30-second lapse in judgment? And I tell young men this all the time. 30 seconds could get you 30 years behind bars, for a lapse in judgment, not being able to control your emotions, not being able to make sound judgment in the midst of a stressful situation. And I'll tell you, that's one of the reasons that I valued our pledging process. And a lot of people talk about pledging like, oh, you're a devil worshiper. Y'all crazy. Because there's nothing that I would have ever done that's going to get me away from the love of Christ. So I don't want to go. We can talk about that on a different show. But pledging puts you in a situation of stress. And you had to make sound decisions in that stressful situation. And when now, just imagine when you got in the corporate world and you was getting this stress and people are not even yelling at you. They just giving you like, if you don't do this, you could be fired. And how you were able to handle the stress. Like, man, please. 50 Cent said in his book, Hustle Harder. Somebody asked him, like, man, how you go in these board meetings and not be scared? He said, man, I faced death. I was shot 9 times. You think I'm scared of what's going to happen in the boardroom? I almost died. That is our life on a regular basis. When you go through stressful situations and you can make it, when it's time to play the game, like, what are we scared of? But do we know when to turn it down? And we got to get out of that concept, in my opinion, of are we punking out because we turn down our aggression at certain times?
Emotional IQ. You got to teach it. You've got to be it. You've got to believe in it. And there's often times where the licenses that I carry allow me to make decisions that will never hold me in a place of content again.
Yeah.
Amongst other things. And, I just think that being in a spot where you know that you can lose your livelihood because you were in a similar situation, whatever the case is, I just walk away, man. Like, and then what do I have to prove nowadays? You know what I'm saying? Like, I've benched 500 pounds. I think I can hit you really, really hard. I'm not gonna have to do that, right? It's not a need. That's not a need
Right.
in the past or in the future. So, I really say this, and I think there was a question off camera. We talked about how do we protect our women or protect Black women specifically,
Absolutely.
and I said that the Black women have been so used to protecting the Black man that we've just got to protect ourselves, and then we can protect our Black women because they're overstressed, they're overtaxed. I mean, I know that you've got some women in your life that have been praying for you and then some. And if you look at the numbers, there's more women than men, and uh, they really deserve to have a whole lot more than they're getting. And we talked about the numbers. Like,
Yeah.
Black men are getting paid more than Black women, but Black women by droves have more education,
More education.
more wherewithal, more know how, like all those things. And I think per capita, the Black woman is getting paid way more than the Black man. But I just think that they are in a position where they have to trade in sometimes their career to be a parent or a mother or a wife. And it's hard. It's hard for them because, like I said, or like you said, or alluded to in the 70s, the government basically gave a pass to very low economic situations where they said, if you don't have a father in the home, we will give you this check. And many times that check was way more than what the father was making. So the father couldn't be there, even if he wanted to be there. So um, we've got a lot to make up for. We've got a lot to break the molds with. But I just know that there's a lot of people out there trying to do it. So just like you and me.
Yeah.
And this is a conversation that can go on for years. But
But the last thing I want to say about that, as far as when you think about the workforce and Black women, and like they are the most educated people on the planet. They got more degrees than any demographic out there. And salute to you guys. And people still say, well, why would they get paid less than other demographics? Well, one thing is because there is not a man in the home, and because they may have children, and because they bought their own house and they bought their own car, the fear of losing their job because they ask to get paid for what they worth. That's why it happens. Me, I'm coming in the office like, look, man, this is what I'm worth. If you can't pay that, don't worry about it. I'm gonna go find something else, or I'm gonna go create my own, because that's the mentality that I can have. But a woman who has a mortgage, kids to feed, a car note, a livelihood, away, and she's the only provider for that family, she's not willing to risk being fired over asking for more, not just more, asking for what she deserves. But that's where it bothers me. Like, where are the brothers? And when I think about other nationalities, like I got some Arabic friends that are like, man, no, we'll die for our women. Die. Like, yeah, I know you just wanted to talk to her, but no, you can't. You can't even see her hair, let alone be in the same room with her alone. And we've been conditioned from back in slavery to have people run through our women, have people use our women, have people do all type of things to our women, and them still be the backbone. At some point, that's got to change, because our women are the lifeblood of our families. They the only people that can bring forth life. Now we give it to them, but they bring forth and nurture it. So when and how, as men, do we continue to grow, to protect ourselves, protect our women, and not just the women that you are in romantic relationships with? When you see a female going through a door, open the door for her. What are we doing? You on the bus and it's crowded. You see a black woman standing up. Get up, man. Let her sit down. Just the simple things like decorum, man. That bothers me, man, to see young dudes running through a door and you see a woman carrying groceries. You don't even open the door for her. That's not manhood. All right, I'm off the soapbox. But listen, I appreciate it. Your scripture for the day is God has not given us a spirit of fear, but a love, power, and a sound mind. University of Man. Follow us, like, subscribe. On YouTube right now is at Fred Abernathy. We're going to get that changed to University of Man. But Spotify, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music. Hey, let somebody know about us. Appreciate you.
Forget about Bible Boot Camp. There it is.
Bible Boot Camp.
I'm a classic man. You can be mean when you look this clean. I'm a classic man. Calling on me like a young OG. I'm a classic man. Your knees getting made by the pre-elegant old-fashioned man. Yeah, baby, I'm a classic man.
University of Man.